Good evening. My name is Kurtis Bower. I'm running for Iowa House District 55. I'm going to jump right into the number one issue that's affecting the property owners. It's affecting renters. It's affecting everyone in our communities here in Iowa, and that's property taxes. So, the question I've been asked repeatedly: what's your position on property tax reform? Property taxes fund many things, but the question really should be what got us into the mess to begin with? Why are all of you asking for reform? You have to understand the history of what was going on, where we were, things that led every one of these communities down this road to where you feel like you're in a position where you have to ask lawmakers, hey, what are we doing? The problem is, as a mayor, I found that at the budget workshop meetings, no one would come. We would publish the budget workshop meetings. We had elderly folks say all the time, hey, I don't have the internet. We've got a public library with fully accessible computers, fully accessible internet. We publish these meetings at local places all over. And the thing that really struck me was for a town of 1,380 people, the city council meetings were at the same time every month, the same first and third Wednesday at 6 p.m. Still, very few people were ever really interested. So that was one of the biggest telltale signs that people were really not that engaged politically. So I find it really hard to believe that they felt like they had an issue when they weren't showing up at the most important meetings, at the most important places, there at the local government level, because those are the decisions that are being made that directly affect you as residents and citizens. So, we really need to turn that part around. But there's far more to this problem than what people realize. It isn't just citizen involvement. It's so much more than that. So when I first became the mayor of Roland, I had the good fortune of having an awesome librarian. She's been the librarian here in Roland since 2001. And she gave me this book by Doug Griffiths. And the book's title is 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. It was written satirically, a lot of satire, a lot of snark, a lot of sarcasm. It was real smart alecky. The 13 things that were there, though, they were the most valuable. Let's remove the satire out of all of them. So, the number one thing was water. Water was the most important. 2, attracting new business. 3, engage your youth. Your youth is going to grab this wonderful idea that sparks creativity, sparks the life, and takes it and blows it back into the community. That blows that breath right into the community. It's wonderful. Being honest with yourselves. Just being brutally honest about a situation. Shop locally. Costs a little bit more, but hey, you secure those funds to stay within your community, just like we want those funds to stay within our state. Beautification. Make it look pretty. Cooperate with others. We are not exclusive inside our little town here in Roland. We reached out to other communities. You know, we've worked with the cities of Ames, Boone, Slater, Nevada, Cambridge, Maxwell, Zering, McCallsburg, Ellsworth, Story City, Gilbert. There are so many. We've even worked with other counties. Worked with Hamilton, Hardin, Story, Boone County. We've worked with a lot of other folks. We've even gone to Marshall County for our garbage services. We have expanded and networked. You can't just stay inside your little bubble. Learn from the past, live in the present, look to the future. People would live in the past, and that always held them back. For a long time, it held Roland back. Once we started looking to the future and we started taking steps that move forward, started looking to grow, started looking to make things better, made all the difference. Listening to seniors inside your community is valuable. Understanding where you came from, understanding your history, understanding a lot of things is important with regards to the past. Who had great ideas and who was successful, who had awesome ideas but weren't successful, who had really horrible ideas, and how did that play out? What were the consequences of those things? You know, you can always learn from something or someone. Thoroughly investigate and consider new things and ideas. Bring in outside help. Stay vigilant. Complacency kills. This is probably one of the more important ones, is take responsibility and accountability. If something isn't going right, own it. Fix it. Improve it. You're never going to have all of the answers. I certainly don't have all of the answers. But going to people who are the subject matter experts in their field, that's helpful. That's saying, hey, I can say and admit that I don't know everything, and I can ask for help. It's not that hard. So there's been this push and this notion since the 1960s that we need to be frugal with our money, not spend. There's also been this frowned upon idea that we should not save our money. But when we do save our money, we're able to use it to make interest off your tax dollars. So if we don't use that interest to offset the taxpayer's burden, then you end up paying for it in interest when you get a loan. So that's been the biggest thing that I've noticed, is there's this level of frugality, this level of, hey, I don't want to spend that. And the problem is what we end up doing is when we don't spend, we actually neglect our needs. The roads that need fixed, yeah, they don't get fixed because we're too afraid to spend money. Before long, those roads break down. Before long, that infrastructure is destroyed. Wear and tear happens naturally. That's the sort of thing that we look at in a small community. So I think we need to look at saving money, earning interest on that saved money. We specify it, meaning we earmark it for a specific project. We don't deviate from that project. And then we use that to fuel future projects that if we need to go out and we need to get a loan, the amount on the loan is less. the amount on the interest is less. If we were to get a loan right now, let's say, in Roland, we're looking at a brand new water plant, and that cost is going to be approximately $4.745 million. So $4,745,000. So the interest on that is going to be approximately 46% of the cost. The total project cost is going to be approximately, with interest, $8,739,000. If we were to have saved the payment that we were going to make every year for the next 30 years on that project, if we were to save that amount, put it into an interest accruing account, here in Roland, we would have saved, or we would have spent a total of $3.5 million. It was 3.495, so $3,495,000. We would have earned somewhere between $1.3 and $1.4 million in interest, and we could have paid the rest of the project off that way. And it would have only taken us 12 years. That was a payment of $291,302.87 per year. If we were to take a payment of $200,000 every year, it would have taken us 16 years. The interest would have done the work for our residents here. Unfortunately, there's no looking to save us on money. And while that is a utility thing and it isn't part of your property taxes, your monthly expenditure is still there. We're looking at saving you money all the way around. The utilities are a big part of that. So your water utility, your sewer utility, your garbage, all of these things are a big deal. They hit your pocketbook differently, but they still hit your pocketbook. So my goal is to streamline all of these things and look at ways to cut expenses, but at the same time figure out ways to use your money to make more money on these things. Why it's so important is the mayor for the city of Eldora right now has been really pushing this idea over in Hardin County that they're going to have to cut emergency medical services. If they were to cut emergency medical services or any other place cut fire services, the biggest concern I have is insurability for people who own property, but also if they can't get insurance, it's an outrageous amount. And that's a big deal to me. The 3 plans that they have in place, 2 of them have hard caps at 2%. Those hard caps are really difficult to deal with. If you go to the Consumer Price Index, which is where we get our inflation rates from, that's what inflation is. That's how we determine our inflation rates. Last year was, for 2025, was 2.7%. So inflation grew in our economy 2.7%. If you were to look at previous years, there was one year we had almost 9%. The year before that, we had a little over 4%. So if you have a 2% hard cap on the revenue growth, you're not going to increase your revenues that are coming into the city unless they're captured on new growth. But even then, after it's been established for a while, it doesn't exceed 2%. So eventually there's going to be this bubbling effect where it creates an artificial market. And what ends up happening is those home values will still climb, but we've got these people keeping the market here. So as far for taxing purposes, the market doesn't grow and beyond that 2%. And then eventually the home sells, and then this new home buyer that buys, they're like, wait a minute, why did my valuation jump like 13%? Or why did my valuation go from 300,000 to almost 400,000? Well, it's because we created an artificial market with an artificial value, and eventually it ends up hurting the communities and the counties. There's ways to handle this. We can save money for big projects because the two biggest expenditures are deferring our maintenance and the catastrophic failure that goes on to it, but also the interest rate we get with the bond that we take out as a local government. We can mitigate all of that. We can. It's going to cost a little bit up front, but once you get it established and once you get it going, what you do is you create a 20-year matrix. You create a 20-year schedule. You know how many trucks you have as a city. You know how many trucks you have as a county. You know how much equipment you have. You know that it's all got to be replaced on a fairly regular basis. And you know about how much work you get out of each component. So if we set that schedule up, move forward, we can actually streamline the process, create what we call set-aside accounts or line items where we establish a need for these pieces of equipment, and then we fund them slowly over time to have enough money in those accounts so when it comes time to replace them, it's there. It's been accruing interest, and it lessens the burden on you guys as the taxpayers so that the interest rate is actually doing the work for you. Now, I know that there are a couple counties in the state that has at one point had so much revenue built or had so much saved up that the interest rate from that money was actually paying the taxes and they were self-funding. That is an interesting idea. And it's actually a novel concept. I wouldn't mind getting to that point, really. I want the folks in Iowa House District 55, but not just 55, the entire state, to have financial security, to have all of their needs met, all of these services that we can fund provided for new roads, infrastructure being maintained, such as water mains, sewer mains, stormwater mains, and a number of other services such as parks, recreation, pools if you have them. Those are the sorts of things that we want to continue to maintain because those are the things that bring people to our communities. We want a sense of community. We want to prioritize our towns, our counties, but we don't want to do it at the expense of losing those essential services. So my plan would be to set it up so that we're saving up the money for those projects so that you, the resident, aren't also paying on interest, but we're using interest to build towards that project. So that would offset your cost and your burden. For more information, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. Kurtis.bower82@gmail.com. My phone number is 515-975-0747. I'm reachable through Facebook. I'm reachable through my email. I'm reachable through my phone. Feel free to text, call, message, however you wish to communicate. I'm open. I hope you have a great evening, and I look forward to serving you in the future.